As you know, there are Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
Well, because, thank you very much, Wolf, and I hope you'll ask the same question of the Republicans about why they don't really want to meet the needs of the American people. But let me say to those people, because all of my colleagues, we represent these people. I have for over 30 years represented my constituents. I know what their needs are. I listen to them, and their needs are not addressed in the president's proposal. So when you say to me, why don't you accept theirs, why don't they accept ours?
Even members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal, $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna, for example. But let me just quote Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat. And he just said this. He said, people in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal. Put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist, and many of your colleagues apologists for the Republican position. Ro Khanna, that's nice. That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now, because people need help now. But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing all we can to help people pay the rent, put food on the table, to enhance benefits, that they don't lose their jobs if they're state and local, we're talking about the consequences of a pandemic.
Why not work out a deal with him, and don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good?
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with $1.8 trillion?
Well, you know what? Do you have any idea what the difference is between the spending that they have in their bill and that we have in our bill? Do you realize that they have come back and said all these things for child tax credits and earned income tax credits, for helping people who have lost their jobs, are eliminated in their bill? Do you realize they pay no respect to the fact that child care is very important for people whose children cannot go to school because they're doing remote learning, and yet they minimize the need for child care, which is the threshold with which people, mothers and fathers, can go to work if they have that.
You wrote a letter to House Democrats and you said this. Let me read a line from the letter you wrote. The president only wants his name on a check to go out before Election Day and for the market to go up. Is that what this is all about? Not allow the president to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans? Right
but
now?
It's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing. Wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not. A check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not.
A check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not.
Is that what this is all about? Not allow the president to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans right now?
He's not that important. But let me say this, with all due respect, and you know we've known each other a long time, you really don't know what you're talking about. If the plural of anecdote is not data. Yes, there's some people who said this or that. Overwhelmingly, my caucus wants what is right for the American people. Overwhelmingly, our chairman who wrote the bill, read their statements. They all put out their own statements when they saw what the White House was proposing. So do a service to the issue and have some level of respect for the people who have worked on these issues, written the bill to begin with. But again, you've been on a jag defending the administration all this time with no knowledge of the difference between our two bills, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that to you in person.
All right, Madam Speaker, these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll leave it on the vote that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you, but I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues, and I feel confidence in my chairs.
It's not about me, it's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent,
and
we
represent them, and we represent them,
getting
and
by
we represent
these
them,
long food
and
lines
we represent
that we're seeing.
them.
I know
we
you
know
are.
them.
I'm just saying.
We represent them, and we know them.
As we
We
say,
know them. We represent them.
don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say.
It is
here in
nowhere
Washington.
near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically, critically important. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for your sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
Have you fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
I want to tell you another story. I lived in Venezuela for several years of my life. My family's initially from Venezuela. And I decided a long time ago that I wanted to go and live the socialist dream. I had gone through a liberal college education, and it encouraged me to travel to a socialist country and see how things really worked. And I figured my home country was the best place to go. So off I went. And I had an amazing experience. I'll make sure to share some of these experiences another time, especially how I saw the same cheating from Maduro that I'm seeing now in the United States politics. But I digress, as always. I want to tell you a story that a friend had told me, which I found very interesting, and I feel it very much relates to yet another issue that's happening in America right now. So, as you may or may not know, Venezuela is a very dangerous place. A lot of people are robbed on a daily basis. And a good friend of mine, he told me one time about a robbery he experienced. So down he was walking down the street when suddenly somebody comes up to him, points a gun at his back, and says, "Give me all your money. Give me all your money." My friend, he turns to, give his money to the thief. And upon turning, the thief recognizes that my friend is his old friend back from grade school. And so he, says hi with joy. "Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so many years. This is amazing." Now you would think at this point that the thief would say, "Oh, I'm sorry about robbing you. Here's your money back." But no. The thief was gracious, though, in his own mind. And he said to my friend, "Hey man, let's go have some lunch. I'll treat you." Imagine that. The thief robbing this man and then taking them out to lunch and paying for the lunch. Obviously with my friend's money. How gracious though, right? What a nice thief. This makes me think a lot about this stimulus bill that was just passed, this COVID bill. If you take the amount of money that has been extracted from the American public and divide it by each person, at current estimates, it adds up to about $2,700 per person. The United States government has decided that they are going to extract $2,700 from every person in the United States, and in return, each of them gets $600. Now, where does the rest of that money go? I wonder. Let's have a look. The Kennedy Center, they're going to receive a wonderful $26,400,000. The Smithsonian, $1 billion fucking dollars. The National Art Gallery, $154 million. National Art and Humanities, whatever that is, $167 million. Woodrow Wilson Center. Oh, the racist who took us into World War I, one of the most vicious wars in human history. $14 million. You'd think that's a lot. Just wait till we spend on everyone else. Egypt. $1,300,000,000 motherfucking dollars. Sudan. $700 million. Ukraine. I'm kind of surprised that number is so low, but you got to make sure to pay them off, especially with all the Biden non-scandals. $453 million. Israel. I'm also surprised how much they're lowballing Israel. It's almost like a tip when you think about how much they get paid every year, though. $500 million. Nepal. $130 million. Burma. Oh, the Burmese. Let's just ignore their genocide right now and give them $135 million. Cambodia. $85,500,000. Pakistan. $25 million. And I hear a large portion of that is going towards improving gender relations or some insane program. Asia, RIA, $1,400,000,000. I think it's clear to see, especially with the names on this list, that this is a payout. This is ransom money. This is us paying out countries who we need to make sure back us for the next coming wars. And in terms of the money back home, well, I think it's clear to see at this point that places like the Smithsonian are going to happily accept 1% of that, maybe 10%. And they'll write off the other things by upping the expenses. For example, they might buy pens at $100 a pen, but 90 of those $100 are going to go into somebody's pocket. 5 will go into another person's pocket, when the pen itself only costs $1. The American people, $600. I'm fortunate enough to live abroad, so I don't need a stimulus at the moment. But I say this to people who listen. I've watched from afar as my mother's country of Venezuela has collapsed under a corrupt government that continues to embezzle and embezzle and embezzle and embezzle money. Now I ask the American people, will they watch the same thing happen to their country? How much more needs to happen to people before they rise up, stand up for their rights, and say no more? What more do you need to lose until you say, there's nothing more you can take from me? Now, as always, I don't advocate for violence. I can't. It's YouTube. But I certainly hope that people begin standing up. There are options, of course. You can respond with civil disobedience, for example, not obeying lockdown orders as a business, not complying with paying your taxes, I guess it just depends on how much more people are willing to put up with. And I truly hope that the American spirit is not so lost that they have to go through 20 or 30 years of what places like Venezuela has gone through before they say enough is enough. When Maduro won through fraudulent elections, we still had a chance and we could have fought back. We had the public on our side. For those of you who think, oh, we'll have another 4 years later, we'll do it right next time. No. This is your only chance. If I could be there doing something, I would be. But alas, I can't return to my country. So I do hope the American people rise up and stand up for what they believe in. Do not let this happen. This is your warning. Do not let this happen. My name is the R Heretic. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. And I'll see you in the next one.